everyone, Randi here, and we are finally going to be doing the Sentro knitting machine 48 pen servicing. Yay! Finally got everything I needed to be able to do it. So, aside from your knitting machine, you will need a screwdriver that actually fits the screws. I'm pretty sure it came with one. I don't know where the heck the screwdriver that came with it is. So if you can't find it, you need to find a teeny tiny screwdriver that will work with the screws in this machine. I have a can of compressed air to help blow any of the dust out of it. That's not really necessary, but it's an extra thing that can make the cleanup process go a little quicker. You are going to need white lithium grease. In this case, this kind actually comes in a spray can. You can also get the kind that is just in like a caulking tube that you snip the tip off of and just zhuzh it on the end of the pins. Doesn't really matter which one. This is the only thing that the hardware store had, and I was not gonna go look at another store. So this, make sure that it is plastic safe white lithium grease, because if it's not, then you're gonna wreck your machine. Also something to wipe all of the caked on, gunky, nasty, dried up old grease, because yes, it will be there. There was actually a bunch of it on my machine when I first got it, when I took it apart the first time, because it was running like trash. So soft cloth, napkins. You might also want some Q-tips to get into the more narrow part, so I'm actually gonna go grab some of those. So get all of your materials together, and I'm gonna switch the perspective so you can watch me take this beast apart and get it back into running order. So first order of business is going to be to take this puppy apart. So I'm not gonna bother taking off the tensioner. I'm not gonna bother taking off the legs. I'm just gonna flip it right over. And my Sentro has been taken apart enough times that, unfortunately, the screws don't actually come out of it anymore. They are welded with the plastic, but they can be loosened enough to take it apart. So let me just find the ones that are still attached. One should be right here. So these dots around the outer ring here each have a screw buried way down deep in it. I'm just gonna loosen those back up. Like I said, if you're lucky, you can actually take them completely out. But that is not the case with my machine. That loose now. That one's loose, that one's still tight. I actually went through and loosened all of these up earlier to see what I was working with. Not yet. When you go to flip it back over, you want to hold on to the edges of it, because if you don't, you'll flip it and everything will come apart and fly to pieces. So, flip it back over. Oh, one of the screws came loose. You're also going to want to make sure that on the side here, your switch between tube and panel is switched up to panel, because if it's down on tube, it's actually going to be locking it onto the bottom, and if you pull not realizing it, you're gonna mess up your machine. Okay, so now you just wiggle it a little bit and make sure you push in here under the handle so you don't yank your handle off. Ugh. Yeah, as you can see, there's cooties all over it. Nasty. I'm sure the inside is probably pretty gross too. Oh, that part's not too bad. It does look kind of fuzzy though. But yeah. So make sure when you take it apart that you take things apart in order so that you can put it back together when you are done. So then you're going to take this top pink ring that actually has, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see if it'll focus or not, but it's got the numbers on it. That way if you're doing a more complicated pattern, you'll be able to track where you're at in it. But anyway, I'm just gonna take this and set it here. This part, you're gonna wanna wiggle a little bit more carefully to get it up over any hooks, pins, whatever you wanna call them, that are still sticking up. And this is, I mean, mega fuzzy around the edges. I'm gonna take all those out. And next, oh yeah, there, now that it's white, you can definitely see it all over this. Yeah, there's all kinds of yarn cooties lingering on this white ring right here. I'm going to take out this inner ring. I know that some people wait to take this out until later. I'm going to take it out now. So you just loosen up these 4 screws, set them somewhere safe. In my case, I've got a huge table, so I don't have to really go too crazy. That is absolutely filthy and gross. Oh, there we go. There's a really good shot of just how dirty the inside of your machine gets. So if anybody tells you that your machines can't possibly get that dirty, false. So now I'm going to just take the pins out, and then I'm going to take the black ring out and also clean that. And you've got your one white pin that lets you know where a new round or row starts. Alright, so now you can just lift this right out. You can see the inside here is all gross and full of cooties. So I'm actually going to take and hit it with the compressed air to blow all of the dust out, and then I'm going to wipe it down. I'm going to clean out the inside of the black ring and the outside edge of it too, because it's got some dust on it from dried up caked on grease from before. All right. Close enough. Wipe down the inside and outside of the white ring here. Alright, so went and wiped all the rest of the pins down, and I'm just gonna get a little bit more of this out of here. Now what I'm gonna do is I've already done a test shake with this, and you do have to actually shake this before you spray it. And I'm just going to take and do short little bursts around the outer ring and possibly the inner ring if it seems like it's not going that far. So as you can see, it is thick enough that it's definitely going to spread around once things are moved. So I'm going to put the black ring back in here. Let's go in this way. Yes. Okay. And I'm going to go through here and I'm just going to spray all of this down and then slide the pins in. So, I put the ring in upside down initially, not that it really matters, but you're going to want to make sure that the gear side, the ridged side of the ring goes down because that's how it moves along with the crank. So now we're going to go through and put all of the pins back in. So I'm going to go through here real quick, and anywhere where there is a ton of grease sticking off on the top where it's potentially going to get onto the pin, I'm just going to wipe it down with a Q-tip. So that is good. We're going to take the big white ring. You're going to notice that it has a triangle shape here. You're going to line that up with the triangle that is right next to your yarn tensioner. bit right there. Put the screws back in. I'm just going to wipe down a little bit of grease that's splatted through the middle here. Okay, so that's all good and secure. Wipe it down one more time there. This goes in here, just like so. The white ring goes on next. This takes a little bit more finesse to get on. You're going to want to make sure that it goes over all of the hooks, and you might have to wiggle them a bit to get them into place. So just be gentle, don't force it. Remember, 'tis only plastic after all. So once you have that ring seated, you're going to take the one that has your numbers on it. And I have actually made a little mark with Sharpie on mine. Because yes, the pin is white, and yes, it does have numbers, but when you're going super fast, sometimes you just don't notice those things. So put it right there next to it. And my row counter's broken anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. If your row counter functions, it probably won't after taking it apart, just from personal experience. Now we are to the fun part, which may test your patience. I'm going to put this back in. Be careful also with your tube and panel switch that you don't break that when you're sliding it back together. Come on. There we go. So now that is all back where it should be. And we're going to flip it over and tighten up the screws. Or in the case of most people, probably actually put the screws back in if your screws actually come out of your machine. Like I said, it's a lot easier when your screws actually come out and go back into place. Okay, it feels like it's all tight now. So we're going to flip it back over. And roll. Make sure that you switch it back to tube knitting, because if you don't, it's going to get stuck when you hit what would be the beginning of the row. So now your knitting machine should be all ready to rock and roll. I would say that you will probably want to run some yarn that you don't really care about through the machine, possibly a few times. So if you have some waste yarn that you use at the beginning and ends of rows, run it through there just to make sure all of the goo is cleared off of the pins, because you don't want to put your pretty expensive yarn through there if it's all gunky and nasty. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. I will be doing more knitting machine tutorials and recipes in the future. So I hope this was helpful. As always, if you have any questions or any suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below the video. If they're nasty, I will delete them and ignore them. And if anybody wants to talk about my hands, well, I'm a massage therapist now, so they're not pretty and cute like they used to be. They get abused and they're veiny, and yeah, that's all there is to it. So anyway, thank you so much everybody for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye guys.